Right. Last video I've just done was this. Why did Hess go to see Lord Hamilton? The official story is in May the 10th, 1941. Hess flew to see Lord Hamilton, and you can't find anything about it. All you get is, you don't get anything from like Hamilton's side of it, his story of it, why, his explanation of why Hess was coming to see him. And there's very little about it. I've been trying to get this site here in English. Right, Spiegel Online, there is an article on here. I've got it on my other Kindle, but I can't get it in English on here to show you. So you just have to bear with me while I read it to you and go through it with you. It's saying, a historian uncovers a new account. Documents suggest Hitler knew of Hess' British flight plans. Now that's not what I find surprising, right? It's just the whole strange relationship between Hess and Hamilton, what's getting me. I found a couple of things. Apparently Hess took the advice of an astrologer, and that's why he picked that date. But there's this guy, I'm looking at an article by a guy called John Simpkin. It's from October 2004, a thing called the Education Forum. There's links on it and that, but they're all out of date now, you can't get on them, but I've managed to get this. And what it's saying is one of history's mysteries concerns Hess's flight to Scotland on 10th May 41 to meet the Duke of Hamilton. MI files released by the National Archives last week, so that'll have been October 2004. Files released by the National Archives helped to explain what was going on, right? It's just one version of it, right? In the 30s, Hamilton was active in a far-right group called the Nordic League. In 1936, he went to Berlin and met Hess and other Nazi leaders. Right? After the war was declared, Hamilton and other right-wing members of the aristocracy, they joined the secret society called the Right Club. Its leader was Archibald Ramsay. Other members included Lord Redesdale, Duke of Wellington, Duke of Westminster, and the Marquess of Graham. Unknown to the Right Club, the organisation had been infiltrated by an MI5 agent called Joan Miller. See if we can get Joan Miller there, shall we? So, Joan Miller infiltrates the Right Club, and she's a right-wing gang of toffs. Hamilton had flown to Berlin 1936 Olympics and met Hess and other Nazi leaders. I've read somewhere else though that when he went to Berlin he didn't actually meet Hess on that occasion, but this is saying he did. But something else I've read said he didn't. He met a lot of other people, but he didn't. Anyway, it's irrelevant, I suppose. Anyway, just shows, doesn't it, though, how things get mixed and mashed. Right, did we get Joan Miller? Right, there's Joan Miller. Just before the outbreak of the Second World War, Miller joined MI5. At first she worked under Lord Cottenham, who headed MI5's transport section, However, it was not long before she was recruited by Maxwell Knight. She was also his lover. And it was Maxwell Knight who recruited William Joyce, Lloyd Haw. That's Maxwell Knight who recruited him. You might have been reading earlier about that. Wow, I knew them Hamiltons were deep. So if they were this far into it during the Second World War, they've been powerful all along, haven't they? And that big lane leading from Charterhall down to where Hamilton Palace used to be, how easy would that be to turn into a runway for a man like him with his resources? Like back then, they'd have been the head of what we knew about science at the time. I thought they knew and stuff, and they'd have been like, like the fucking MIT Institute is today. Do you get what I'm saying? And I think they had the secret knowledge. That's why he's in cahoots with the Nazis. It's well documented that the Nazis were all over Tibet and all sorts, looking up the old secret knowledge. And before I knew all this, I thought that Hamilton went into something heavy, but it just proves it all, doesn't it? You could make a whole fucking movie out of this, couldn't you? The characters what are getting to turning up. So Joan Miller, she was born in 1918, so the war broke out in 1939, so she was only 21. After leaving boarding school at 16, she found work in a tea shop in Andover. This was followed by the post of an office girl at Elizabeth Iden. Later she was promoted into the advertising department. But she's a very intelligent looking lady, isn't she? Look at those eyes, that piercing stare. She's looking right through you, man. Anyway, right, she's been recruited by MI5 by Maxwell Knight, the head of B5B, a unit that conducted the monitoring of political subversion. Knight explained he wanted her to spy on the Right Club. This secret society was an attempt to unify all the different right-wing groups in Britain, or, in the leader's words, of coordinating the work of all the patriotic societies. In his autobiography, The Nameless War, 1955, Archibald Ramsay, the founder of the Right Club, argued the main object of the Right Club was to oppose and expose the activities of organised Jewry. In the light of the evidence which came into my possession in 1938, our first objective was to clear the Conservative Party of Jewish influence, and the character of our membership and meetings was strictly in keeping with this objective. Wow. By 1940, Miller had become one of the most important figures in the Right Club. Maxwell Knight asked Miller to keep a close watch on Anna Wolkoff, who was suspected of being a German spy. Wolkoff ran the Russian tea room in South Kensington, and this eventually became the main meeting place for members of the Right Club. This is fascinating. In February 1940, Anna Wolkoff met Tyler Kent, a cipher clerk from the American Embassy. He soon became a regular visitor to the Russian tea room, where he met other members of the Right Club, including its leader, Archibald Ramsay. Wolkoff, Kent and Ramsay talked about politics and agreed that they all shared the same views on politics. Kent was concerned that the American government wanted the United States to join the war against Germany. He said he had evidence of this, as he'd been making copies of the correspondence between President Franklin D. Roosevelt and Winston Churchill. Kent invited Wolkoff and Ramsay back to his flat to look at these documents. That's surely treason, isn't it? This included secret assurances that the United States would support France if it was invaded by the German army. Kent later argued that he had shown these documents to Ramsay in the hope that he would pass this information to American politicians hostile to Roosevelt. Anna Wolkoff went to Kent's flat and made copies of some of these documents. Joan Miller and Marjorie O'Meara were later to testify that these documents were then passed on to Duco del Monte, assistant naval attaché at the Italian embassy. Soon afterwards, MI8, the wireless interception service, picked up messages between Rome and Berlin. Fucking hell. So with Rome and Berlin, that indicated that Admiral Wilhelm Canaris, head of German military intelligence, Abwehr, now had copies of the Roosevelt-Churchill correspondence. So they leaked them to the Germans on purpose, basically. Did anyone know about this? Soon afterwards, Wolkoff asked Miller if she would use her contacts at the Italian embassy to pass a coded letter to William Joyce, Lord Haw in Germany. The letter contained information that he could use in his broadcasts on Radio Hamburg. Before passing the letter to her contacts, Miller showed it to Maxwell Knight. What the fuck were they playing at? On the 18th of May, Knight told Guy Liddell about the Wright Club spy ring. Liddell immediately had a meeting with Joseph Kennedy, the American ambassador in London. Kennedy agreed to waive Kent's diplomatic immunity, and on 20th of May 1940 the Special Branch raided his flat. Inside they found the copies of 1929 classified documents, including secret correspondence between Franklin Roosevelt and Winston Churchill. Kent was also found in possession of what became known as Ramsay's Red Book. The book had details of the supporters of the Wright Club and had been given to Kent for safekeeping. Well, he didn't do a good job of that, did he? Anna Wolkoff and Tyler Kent were arrested and charged under the Official Secrets Act. The trial took place in secret, and on 7th of November 1940, Wolkoff was sentenced to 10 years. Kent, because he was an American citizen, was treated less harshly and received only 7 years. It is said that after being sentenced, Wolkoff swore that she would get revenge by killing Miller. Fucking hell. Miller also worked in a special department of the post office. See, I always suspected the post office had just been another arm of the intelligence fucking units. In a special department of the post office that was set up to read letters being sent by perceived subversives. Miller and another agent, Guy Poston, were given the task of breaking into the home of Rajani Palmdutt, a leading member of the Communist Party in Britain. Maxwell Knight was interested in a locked box that he kept under his bed. However, when they opened the box, they discovered it only contained documents about his wedding. After the conviction of Anna Wolkoff and Tyler Kent, Miller began living with Maxwell Knight. Told you they were lovers, eh? I'd come across that before. However, she soon realised she was being used as a cover for Knight's homosexuality. She left Knight and married Tom Kinloch Jones in June 1943. She didn't hang about then. Miller now transferred to the Public Intelligence Department. This involved reading and distributing top secret cables. While in this post, she identified a spy who was passing the contents of some of these cables to the Soviet Union. Sorry if I'm reading fast. She was later transferred to a unit that controlled the contents of newspapers being distributed in Germany. That unit that controlled the contents of newspapers being distributed in Germany. Sorry, it's something else. I'll get it. It's another rabbit hole. Joan Miller died in June 1984. Despite efforts by MI5, Miller's daughter managed to get her mother's autobiography, One Girl's World War, Personal Exploits in MI5's Most Secret Station, published in Ireland in 1986. And there's our primary sources. Fascinating or what, eh? I just stumbled upon it. I knew about the Hess's flight to Scotland and all that, but I just forgot all, it was years ago and there's that much shit in my head. And then I was doing all that about Hamilton, so it kept tickling me and tickling me and tickling me. And then I found that. And then I linked it together. It had always intrigued me, the story of Hess. Why would he do such a thing as that? You know? See if we can get any more bits here for you. Another article I've got here. Right, after this, what happened here, when, with the Right Club and being infiltrated by this Joan Miller, Neil got arrested in 40, and then in 41, that's when Hess made his flight to go and meet Hamilton, who was a member of the Right Club. Like I said, I've gone a bit disjointed, but the letter is released in 2004 by the National Archives, and it mentions how in 36 he went to Berlin and met a lot of Nazi leaders. The Right Club got infiltrated by the mistress of Maxwell Knight. Maxwell Knight was a former member of the British Fascisti and now head of B5B, an MI5 unit that conducted the monitoring of political subversion. Right. In 1940, the Nazi government was attempting to negotiate an end to the war via the Right Club. The organisation was also involved in supplying Germany with state secrets, as we've just covered. MI5 was opening their letters of members of the Right Club, so that's how they got fucking naps, I suppose. In 1940, Albert Haushofer, a close friend of Adolf Hitler, wrote to Hamilton, "You may find some significance in the fact that I am able to ask you whether you could find time to have a talk to me somewhere on the outskirts of Europe, perhaps in Portugal." Haushofer also referred to people who the German government believed wanted an German-English agreement. This included Samuel Hoare and Rab Butler. The letter was intercepted by MI5 and Hamilton was persuaded to work as a double agent. Hamilton agreed to go to Lisbon to meet Haushofer. Colonel Toy Robertson, head of MI5's double agent section, wrote in April 1941, "Hamilton, at the beginning of the war, and still is a member of the community which sincerely believes that Great Britain will be willing to make peace with Germany, provided the present regime in Germany were superseded by some reasonable form of government. He is a slow-witted man, but at the same time he gets there in the end, and I feel that if he is properly schooled before leaving for Lisbon, he could do a very useful job of work. Robertson wanted Hamilton to extract a good deal of information from Haushofer about how Germany is weathering the war. Another MI5 agent wrote that, presumably one fine day we shall be willing to listen to peace moves, and I see no reason why we should not get advance knowledge, if possible. However, before Hamilton's trip to Portugal could take place, Hess decided to fly a Messerschmitt 110 to Scotland with the intention of having a meeting Hamilton. That's how it's written. With the intention of having a meeting Hamilton. I think it should read of having a meeting with Hamilton. On 10th of May 1941, Hess arrived in Scotland. Hess hoped that Hamilton would arrange for him to meet George VI. Hess believed he could persuade the king to sack Winston Churchill and to make peace with Germany in order to join forces against the Soviet Union. Hess was kept in solitary confinement until he committed suicide on 17th of August 1987. There is evidence that he was murdered. Churchill gave the orders that members of the Right Club should be arrested and interned. Several of its leaders were interned, but all the aristocrats were allowed to go free. The government attempted to keep the story quiet, but the New York Times broke the story, claiming that Archibald Ramsay had been arrested because he'd been spying for Germany. The story is yet to be told. A lot of the most important documents concerning this case are still being held from the public. Well, there you go, folks. So, went well looking for it, but it's what I've ended up with, yeah?